wherever you are. So glad that you're having tea or cocktails or coffee or water with us. And we're here to design our lives. It's the new normal edition. And here we go. And this is our heart beating with excitement, truly, at seeing you here. And we have a creative warm-up. And then today's topic is metamorphosis. And our guest is Terry. So that's my bad. I didn't change it. Thank you. Yeah, Terry Jackson, Dr. Terry Jackson. Thank you. And, Matam, are you using the thing that I sent? The deck I sent? Go back out for a second. I just want to make sure. Okay, yes, you are. I thought I had changed the slide. Oh, well. So I did a couple of different sessions today, and I wanted to update this slide to a new version that I've been working on. So I promise you we'll show it to you next time. But these are reminders. If you've come to the tea before, you know that these are our foundational design values. If not, we're happy. If this is your first time, we're happy to share it with you. But during this time, during our hour, we're going to think like designers, and that is with optimism. No matter how hard the problem, we're going to come up with a better solution. With empathy for ourselves and for others. We're going to think holistically, see the big picture so we can connect the dots in new ways. We're going to work collaboratively, which is all about why we're here together, because together we're stronger, and 1 + 1 = 3. We're going to practice that. And we're going to ask what if questions, which is all about having an open mind, because sometimes the best ideas do come from the worst places. And last but not least, our mood is going to be playful. We're playing with ideas. And when we're playing, we're not afraid of making mistakes, which is really key to design thinking. We're here to learn by doing and to play in a safe environment together. And so I wanted to share this drawing that I did today. I'm quite proud of it. It's called The New Hug. And some of you have seen it on LinkedIn and commented. Thank you very much for that. But this actually, Penny and Leanne last Saturday, when Lorenzo, so last Saturday, it was Mandela Day. Let me backtrack for a second. And Penny invited me to join her daughter, Leanne, who's with us today, and herself and their community for a fundraiser for Mandela Day. Right, Penny? Do you want to say a couple words about that?
I think it would probably be more appropriate for Leanne to speak about it, but it was just amazing to actually look at the journey that we tried to lay out for people to move from what changed in their home to what changed in the education system to what changes were needed in society. And then Ayse led us in a 67 minutes for Mandela activity around reimagining what the world could look like under the current circumstances, which was incredibly powerful. But perhaps Leanne would be a better place to speak to this.
So Leanne, I don't know if, are you there?
Yes, my mother likes putting me on the spot.
I know. I was going to suggest, Leanne, if you want to put the link to your organization in the chat box.
Sure. All right.
That would be amazing.
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks. I'm just sorry, I'm on my phone and I try and find all the buttons, but I'll do that. Okay. Yeah, just we're working in Cape Town and things are quite hairy at the moment and a lot of despondency. So it was really great to have something so optimistic and really looking forward to the future in a positive light. So thank you for your time, Ayse.
Oh, it was really my my privilege to be with you. And so, and Lorenzo, who was one of the speakers, talked about, just in his conversation, he talked about holding other people's points of views and respecting them. And suddenly I had this insight about, when he said holding, I thought, oh, so this actually is the new hug. This is how we can hold each other. And from that, developed this sketch that in the absence of physical hugs, what we can do is hold each other's values and feelings and beliefs and opinions, and really embrace them, even if they're different from our thoughts. And that this empathy and unity is what can make us stronger. So I hope you like that, you like the new hug. And if you'd like to share it, I want to ask you, Meltem, if you could put the link for it on LinkedIn, so that people can share it on LinkedIn or on Twitter. Great. And really for me, that was kind of like a breakthrough, because this notion of we can't hug each other has been really bugging me. And you know me, I believe that challenges lead to opportunities. And I'm like, this is a challenge and I can't see the opportunity in this. And now I feel like I see the opportunity. The opportunity is to hold each other in simply a different way. And so that actually inspires our warm-up exercise. I'm going to ask you to imagine and visualize how you can hold somebody else's idea or point of view. So the question is, draw yourself holding an idea or a point of view, somebody else's idea or point of view in your embrace. And maybe you share the same values, or maybe you are intentionally embracing a different kind of point of view. So you could draw it, but also the chat box is our sharing tool. So why don't you put it also into the chat box as, you know, here is a point of view that I'm embracing from somebody else. Let's take a couple minutes to warm up our creative minds. And I look forward to your thoughts and your drawings. Great. Oh, Leanne, thank you for putting the Learning in Reach link in there. Everybody, I would encourage you to take a look at Learning in Reach, because what they're doing with kids in South Africa is just beautiful. And maybe there'll be an opportunity for all of us to collaborate and help you, Leanne. All right, I'll give you all a minute. And I'm looking for the links actually. Oh, Meltem, I found the links. All right, so the new hug. There you go. All right. While you're putting your ideas into the chat box, I want to say hello. Hello, Susan. Welcome. Nice to see you. Well, there are two Susans, Susan Orlandi and Susan Wellish. Hi, Jessica. Nice to see you. From Hayworth. Really glad you could join us. Katie and Monica and Burju and Alvin, Jen. Lovely. And let's see. Yes, Nurai, I'm so glad that Amelia could invite you. Thank you for coming. So another person in Istanbul. Nice. Thank you, Annette. Annette writes, I can feel the electricity from the power of these words and phrases. Very cool. Judith, do you want to share your other people's point of view?
Yes, there are people that I know who believe that this whole virus is a hoax and that the media is presenting statistics that are false. They believe we should keep the monuments and the flags, and that wearing a mask makes no sense. It's all the government's plan to control us. I don't hold that point of view, but I know several people who do.
Yeah. And you don't hold it against them?
No, I can understand it, but they rely on other kinds of organizations like the silent majority for their information. And at one level, I wish they were right, because I would be happy to go out and to go to restaurants and go shopping without a mask and feel that I was perfectly safe. But I know that what did one person say? We may be tired and frustrated, but the virus is not.
Good point. Thank you, Judith. It's lovely seeing you here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
And Denise, you want to unmute yourself for a second? Because I love what you put in there as well. I mean, everyone, I love what you're sharing here, but just like this idea, what Denise wrote. Yeah.
Sure. So how I met Tom was actually at his art exhibit, and I ended up buying a piece from him, which I really treasure. And since then, I've gone to all of his exhibits, and he's just an artistic genius. So every time we have a phone call or he shares something with me, it's like having a kaleidoscope in my hands, and I'm twisting it and viewing all those different images as he shares his ideas. And it's a wonderful and beautiful artistic collaboration.
I love the idea of somebody's thoughts being like a kaleidoscope. So thank you for sharing that. Who else would like to share their embrace of the other's opinions?
I will.
Please.
I don't know if you can see this, but I will try to listen both with my intellect and my heart.
So who just spoke?
This is Annette.
Oh, Annette, thank you. I couldn't quite recognize your voice, and I couldn't see you. Wow, that's a beautiful drawing.
So I love the inspiration that this brings me, and I cannot wait to hear you and Terry together, since you talked about it at Alex's webinar.
Great. Thank you, Annette. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll share a thought, Ashai. This is John Kang from Michigan.
Hi, John.
Getting back to I have a lot of design discussions with my son, who is also pursuing design, and he brings up, I'm 60 and he's 22, so he's got a whole new perspective on things, and it's a perspective that I would not have thought of, and it's usually pretty good. So I continue to think about his values and his comments as I formulate mine. And then the graphic representation of that falls back on the previous participant here with the kaleidoscope concept. And it kind of represents, me prior to receiving input that is applicable that I just hadn't thought of, getting more to a kaleidoscope looking diagram. Still square, so to speak, but the internal parts are all mixed up and added to and transformed. So kind of linking two different things together there, I guess.
Quite beautiful. Well,
Thanks.
with you holding up your drawing, and Annette as well, how about everybody hold up their drawings, and Maltam will take a picture. Maltam, you tell us when. Beautiful. This is where I get to, oh, and Patricia, is that you and your nephew?
Yes, it is.
Beautiful drawing. I hope you'll send it to him.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, if I knew that my aunt thought about me like that, I would be so touched.
Thank you.
Maltam, there's a second wave. Did you also capture that?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so let's thank you for that, and please continue to read the chat box, because I didn't have a chance to get to everybody's input, and afterwards Maltam will share the chat with everyone, so you can read it at leisure. And let's now go into Metamorphosis with a quote from Maya Angelou. Who would like to read this?
I'll read it.
Okay.
I refuse to allow any man-made differences to separate me from any other human beings. Maya Angelou.
Thank you. So with that, let's think about metamorphosis. So metamorphosis is a metaphor that we're going to use to think about this moment of transition. And metaphors are, I love them. And as a team, and you have Seda and Leah and Maltam from our team today on the call, we use metaphors all the time for a couple of reasons. One, metaphors are visual. They help us, even though they're words, they help us visualize things, but also they help us understand new or complex things in relation to things we know. So when we entered COVID and started sheltering in place, I wanted to use a metaphor to think about our situation differently. And then when I hit upon the idea of metamorphosis, I thought, this really helps us think about ourselves before COVID, when we were like caterpillars. And then in sheltering in place, we're like inside our cocoon, sheltering and protecting. And while we're inside our cocoon, everything we know is breaking down. And if you've raised butterflies or did your biology class, you know that inside the cocoon, it becomes like this messy soup. And so it's the messy middle. And then when you come out of the cocoon, you become a butterfly and you fly and you take off and you're a thing of beauty. So with that, if we could go to the next slide, I want all of us to think about what are things before that we want to keep, that, you know, not a lot of things, but some things that are in our DNA. So for me, that's thinking differently, and it's deconstruction, reconstruction. And then what are things that we're discovering right now in this moment inside the cocoon? So for me, it's really love and showing my love and my gratitude with abundance, no matter what. And then what are things that we want to have as our wings that will help us fly when we come out? And for me, that's my super friends and the collaborations that we help bring together. So with that, let's go to the, this is what we're going to do. Think about these 3 prompts, and you can write them down, but then please also put them into the chat box so that we could share, and try to do it so that it's like you preface it. Things I'll keep, things I'm learning, and things that are my wings, or something like that. So we know kind of what are you bringing from your past, what's happening in your present, and what's happening, what you're hoping for your future. Let's take a couple minutes, and then we'll talk about those things. And the butterfly metaphor is really a lovely one in that it keeps on giving. So actually, I'm not going to say it. Terry, I was going to say, and I learned this from Terry, and I just remembered, but Terry is here to talk about it. So I want to give away some of our conversations, but Terry and I share this metaphor together. So Terry Jackson, everyone, is our guest today, and he's on the line as well. And he'll take the metaphor and move us to yet another dimension. So. Great. James, I hear you on, you're saying you can't quite fully agree with Maya Angelou. You want to unmute?
There we go. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, it's a nice quote. And having spent 40 plus years trying to live that kind of life, I've sort of reached a final conclusion that it's not possible to be all encompassing. Sometimes you just have to accept there are people out there who cannot be convinced, and that your time is better spent pursuing those who can.
I think I would need to agree, but that I like your premise, the starting point of trying, but then also accepting that sometimes we hit a wall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And trying to continue to go through that wall can be frustrating and prove fruitless.
Yeah.
So yes, better to move on and find someone else whose mind you might be able to change.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And Terry, you might have a point of view on that as well when we finish the Metamorphosis as a creative exercise. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that as well. So Seda, how are we doing on time?
We're doing good. I'll maybe wrap it up and a couple people can share. That would be great.
That would be great. So who would like to share their, I want to actually, before opening it up, I wanted to ask Regina. So Regina is one of my students, and I asked her to join us today. Regina, thank you for coming. And Regina is at the School of Visual Arts doing a master's on products of design. And we've done designing the designer's life you love as part of our curriculum. So Regina, I just wanted you to share, could you get us started on things to keep, to learn, and to help you fly?
Yeah, yes, I can. Thanks, Ayse. So as Ayse mentioned, I'm currently working on my thesis, and my topic is resilience in the urban environment. And so things that I will keep throughout my research is my curiosity, and my kindness, and my willingness to try. As I'm doing the research, it seems like a really daunting task when you think of how do you make a city resilient. And so I think willingness to try is going to be very crucial. The things that I'm learning is what is resilience, and how do I build resilience in myself, in others, in communities, and eventually in cities and nations. And the things that will help me fly during my thesis research are diligence and commitment, and patience with myself and others. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Regina. And everyone, Regina is one of the most hardworking people I've met. So
thank you.
I would add that to your list. Okay, who else would like to share? Meltem, you want to come out of the slideshow for a second so we can see each other? Thank you. All right, who's sharing? You're not being shy, right? Okay. Oh, hi, Amelia. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. I missed last week because I didn't notice the time change.
Yeah, sorry about that.
But I completely understand the time change.
Cool.
So things that I'll keep from before, the inner trust that I have that I'll be okay. Things I'm discovering, my voice and the courage to use it. And things that will help us take off in the future, my newfound self-confidence.
Beautiful.
It's been a good experience for me.
I think you've transformed it into a good experience.
Well, perhaps.
Well done, Amelia.
Thanks.
All right, who else is going to share? Oh, Kat is doing I like that. Kat, how do you do that? The clap thingy.
Down at the bottom, you have reactions. You can do a thumbs up or a clap.
Nice. Very cool. Thank you.
Well, I could share mine.
Who's that?
Kat.
Oh, Kat. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. So from keeping from before, I put down collaborating with others, the importance of nature, and working on myself. And what I'm learning right now is during shelter in place, I've moved in with my boyfriend, which was a big change. And so learning to be a good partner and what that means, and then relying on my own judgment about things and really trusting that. And then for me to fly, it might be a little bit more basic, but I put down more exercise as my #1 thing that would help me to fly. And then also supporting my immediate community is really important. I've done a lot of community service in the past, and it's just a little bit challenging right now to figure out, rather than just throwing money at something, what can I actually participate in and affect the people around me.
That's beautiful. Kat, thank you. And I'm so glad that you said, it might be basic, but first of all, it's not basic, but also I think sometimes those, what we might think basic or ordinary things make a huge difference. And Marshall Goldsmith often talks about, like working with some of the most brilliant people in the world, and that it's often those people that don't realize that they can be happy. And so we can take happiness as a basic thing, but it's not granted, right? So in just listening to you, I was thinking, absolutely, like exercise, that's such an investment in our future. And it's hard until you start to do it and do it, learn to do it as kind of part of your life. So kudos to you. And let's have one more share. Who wants to share?
I'd like to share as well.
Please. Hi, Ala.
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you.
Yeah.
So the things I'd like to keep as the joy of working and the things that I'm passionate about, and the kindness and the compassion. And the things that I'm currently learning is about leadership and how to be also a leader, and at the same time to take care of my wellness and like self-care, as if I'm now like involved in kind of huge projects like for my community. So I'm trying to prepare myself to be a leader. I learn also about project management. And the things that will help me take off is like to have a very, like the people I love around me, the friends, the teams, the mentorship. So this will keep me going, even if I have like obstacles in the way, and yeah, in the journey of the leadership.
Great, thank you so much. I wonder, Ala, since you're learning or practicing project management,
Yeah.
Is there anyone who's joining us today who is an expert on project management? Maybe you could reach out to Ala and start the conversation there.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Ala, where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm in Boston.
You're in Boston. Nice.
Yeah, I'm finishing up my residency in geriatric dental medicine. So
okay.
I finished a doctoral degree in dental public health, and I've learned a lot about program planning. I was involved in many projects, like for the community, about awareness, about oral health. So the project that I'm planning now is to provide dental services for older adults, to buy like designing a program. It's a dental home care program for older adults. Yes.
Yay! How cool is that? I'm so glad I asked. Otherwise, we would have never known. And that's the magic of these teas. Everybody's so humble, and yet we have an incredible group of people. Ala, thank you for sharing that. And we, Seda, Meltem, and I, and Leah, we just finished a 1.5-year long study with older adults, so they're very dear to us. And some of our communities actually here around the table, and enhance the idea of invite people who are 9 years older and 9 years younger to the tea, so that we could all be together, right? Yeah. And Kathy is one of our leaders. So Kathy, it's so good to see you. Unmute.
Ayse. Unmute. Hello.
Yeah.
Interesting project.
It was, right? You've redesigned and designed your life. I think Seda is telling me I need to continue. Is that so, Seda?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So everyone, think about new insights and opportunities that emerge as you think about your metamorphosis. But because I talked a lot, we've kind of run out of time. But this is me with my metamorphosis. What do you think of that?
Cute.
Thank you. I saw this picture today while I was looking for something else, and I thought, I need to share this because we were talking about metamorphosis, and this is my cue for sharing the mic with my friend, Dr. Terry Jackson. And he and I have been cooking up a new program. So Terry, welcome. It's really an honor to have you join us. Terry is an amazing leadership coach.
Wow.
And also he asked me to deconstruct racism to reconstruct love. So this is our passion project together. We've been working on that for the last month. And as we were working on that, we realized that we share Metamorphosis together. So Terry, please stop me from talking and take the mic.
Well, thank you so very much, Ayse. It's always an honor and a pleasure just to be a student of yours, more or less try to share the mic with you and with your wealth of knowledge. But I thank everyone for being here. And it's a great project that we have underway, you know, deconstructing racism, reconstructing love, you know, and it started as Ayse kind of reached out and she was like, what do I do? You know, after certain situations have happened around George Floyd. And, you know, I said, well, Ayse, you already have the model. You have the model, given the fact that, you know, you've done the book, Design the Life You Love, and it's the same construct. So as we began to talk about this construct and transformation, you know, transformation basically is the assertion that the actions you take today will create your future tomorrow. And, you know, that future can be described and realized when there is freedom from constraints of the past. And so in transformation, you're not looking at the past to create the future. You're going to start right in the present moment to create your future. And that's the difference between change and transformation, because change looks at the past. Transformation is looking right here at the present and moving forward. As you can see, given the picture of the diagram that Ayse shared, a butterfly is a transformation. It's not a better caterpillar, right? And so with that, transformation creates new human beings, new systems, and hopefully through all of this, a new world, your world, in which you live and breathe on a day-to-day, you know, basis. You know, I was looking back over all that Metamorphosis covers. And as I saw that, I'd forgotten about the little science studies we did in junior high, where we had the tadpole, right? And you look at the tadpole, and in a few weeks, the tadpole became a frog. And I was like, wow, I forgot all about that. But that's the transformation. And I'm sure you've had the opportunities to kind of see that in human beings, right? We've seen human beings become totally different beings as they meditate more. They have the intention of really serving humanity. And I think that's what this project really originated from. Ayse and I really wanted to serve humanity and help connect human beings to being human again, right? Because somewhere down the line, we kind of lost what it meant to be a human being. And we've seen those different examples across the world, right? We've seen so many people say, I can't breathe, right? So how do we become more human? And that's through this whole metamorphosis and transformation that Ayse has enabled me to be able to sit and share with you today. And it's such an honor. And, you know, I'll give the example of change, and then I'll talk about transformation, right? How many of us have said, I need to lose weight? I need to lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds. We go and we do what we think are the right things, right? We go walking, we change our diet a little bit. But then all of a sudden, after we lose those 10 pounds, within maybe let's say 6 months, and we look back at 12 months and we say, you know what? I gained those 10 pounds right back, right? That was the change, because we didn't shift our mindsets to it being permanent. We were happy with the 10 pounds that we lost. We began to justify eating ice cream again because we lost 1 or 2 pounds. We lost 10 pounds and I'm feeling good about it. Then all of a sudden we get out of the routine. Well, what happens in transformation and what makes it such a different scenario is you begin to take a look at what your infrastructure is around losing that weight, right? You begin to study healthy ways of eating, ways of exercising, and what it really becomes is a whole new way of life. Not just a change within the current life, but a whole new way of life. So as you make that paradigm shift and you're reading and you're studying of what a healthy lifestyle is, you change how you cook, you change where you go to as far as out to eat. You even sometimes have to change your friends or prevent some friends from coming around so often because as they want to eat, they may not be eating as healthy as you're eating, right? And so that's that transformation where you make that full lifestyle change around who you want to become from a health perspective, right? And who you want to become as a person connecting to other human beings. And so that transformation is much different from changing. We all want to become the butterfly. Any questions? Any comments?
That's a beautiful perspective.
Oh, thank you.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about the, go ahead.
I have a quick question. I find that sometimes I have I'll have intentions and I'll have a way of thinking about things, and then all of a sudden something from the past kind of triggers me, and I have to figure out like, oh, that's not who I am now. But on the other hand, I know I'm triggered. So do you have any recommendations on how I might be looking forward as opposed to looking back?
You know, I think it's obvious that you have awareness because you understand what your trigger is as you becoming the new person or doing the new thing, and then all of a sudden the new you pops up, right? And or the old you pops up and you recognize that I'm being triggered. So that's the great thing, is that you acknowledge that it happened. What needs to happen from that point is I'm aware of that trigger, but I still need to continue the new path that I'm traveling down so that I can make that new path a habit, because it has to become habit around you continuing to do the new exercise or the new habit that you're trying to achieve from a long-term sustainable basis. So the awareness is great. Keep up the awareness, but always kind of suppress the older you so that you can continue to move into the new you and become the butterfly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think, Penny, you raised your hand. Did you have a question?
I did, thanks, Ayse. And I think our situation is incredibly complex, Terry, in South Africa. So I love what you're saying about transformation not being a better caterpillar, and the idea of starting from where we are. But it's really difficult, you know. I mean, obviously a very different situation to what you have in the States and what exists in many, many other countries. And if what drives many of us is an abhorrence of the injustice and wanting to see a more equal and inclusive society, how does that gel with your ideas? I'd just be interested to hear a little bit more about that.
You know, it's that's a great point and a great question, because we've had our challenges here in the States as well, and we've had them for many years. If you've had them for many years, and you know, I begin to kind of look at what do we have in common as human beings, right? We look at so many things that show differences, but at the very root, what do we have in common? So that's when I kind of started thinking about how do we get that human connection again? You know, if I take a look at the hue of my skin, I take a look at the hue of your skin, it has a biological function, right? But outside of the hue of my skin, biologically, we function the same. If I understand it from nature's perspective, and I think we have to look at humanity from nature's perspective, right? And that is, you know, depending on where my ancestors were, my hue of my skin was something that, the hue of my skin was something that served to be protection from the sun, right? The hue of your skin may have been to serve, you know, to absorb the you know, the cold weather. But outside of that, that biological function, we're the same. And so that's what human beings are. When you look at the plants outside and you see the green leaves, they're green for a reason. They're going through a process of absorbing the sun. Everything in nature has a particular hue because nature built this that way for either protection from something or as a natural advantage to something. And so when I started to look at humanity from that perspective, it said we're all the same, given from a biological perspective. Our hues are just different as it relates to, in nature, what the function of biologically what the function is, right? And so that allows me to reconnect with human beings. And now I'm understanding that you look the way you look because there's a biological function. There's nothing better than, there's nothing less than, right? Those are narratives and myths that's been created by people for whatever reason, right? But at the very root, what makes us human is biological, our biological function. And so as I look at that, and I look at another man, woman, or whomever, I just see another human being. And in my opinion, my humble opinion, until we begin to look at it from a human perspective, then that's when we'll really make a full transformation as a global society around how we treat each other. You know, all the other stuff, it doesn't matter, right? Because at the end, we all came in the world the same way. We're all going to leave the same way, right? So we're all human. Let's just respect and understand from a biological perspective what this is, and let's move forward.
Terry, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Listening to your beautiful voice and your thoughts, I feel like it sounds like the simplest of things, right? Because we are all human, and yet it seems to be so hard at the same time. So
yeah, I agree. You know, I'm a proponent of doing away with labels, how we label people. I'm a proponent of doing away with titles, because, you know, we say, well, certain person is a CEO. That helps to frame our relationship, right? Because we're giving them a certain latitude because of a position that they hold. Not that they're any more special than we are, not that they're any more intelligent than we are. For whatever reason, they've ascended to that level. But it doesn't make them a better human being because they're a CEO, right? Someone could be a janitor. It doesn't make them any less of a human being because of that particular position. Those labels and titles help structure and frame relationships that we have, and we look at people differently given those relationships, given those labels. And so I believe in just, your name is Ayse, I'm going to say Ayse. My name is Terry, call me Terry. I don't feel the need for you to call me Dr. Terry Jackson. That's just a piece of paper I earned because I went through a curriculum of study with a little bit of discipline, and I earned it. Other than that, we're human beings, and it's just that simple to me.
May I ask you the question?
Beautiful. Yeah.
This
Padma,
is
we're almost out of time, so maybe one more, and then we'll close the session.
Can
so
I
please
talk?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Can I talk?
Yes, please.
Yes, I understand all of the things you have said, biological function, being a human, and everything. There's something we inherited from our childhood. I believe, you don't have to agree with me. We start with the bias attitude from our family. That is the base of it. Family members as your parents as probably favorite child. And you come to the society, you say it is not about the color only. It is not about only biological thing, the way I see it. I see the thought process of the human was so corrupted, so influenced by the society and what we read and our upbringings and all of the things we think about. My thinking about is, how do we address this issue in this current society, current concept, especially after COVID-19? How do we enlighten people here? Look at, we all are the same. We all are going to die. We all have to collaborate. We all have to show our kindness to each other. We all have to help each other. So how do we give that message without colorblind?
Well, I don't think that we need to be colorblind because the hue of my skin has dictated my life's experiences. So color blindness, we don't need to say, well, I don't see color, because then you're dismissive around what my experience has been in life. What I would say to that is, now is the time for you to begin re-educating your family, because biases and discrimination and racism, it all begins, it's a learned behavior, which means it can be unlearned. But there's a re-education process, or a transformation process, if you will, that needs to happen within the family around understanding those biases, where they come from, and how to eliminate them. So
can I comment?
Yes.
This is John King. One of the struggles I've always had was, how do you contend with cultural influences? And at the same time, we don't want to eliminate them entirely, because there's a lot of richness there that we can gain from, witnessing and being part of and learning from cultural differences, or even just something as simple as food. But if you're raised in a, like a predominantly white, so to speak, affluent neighborhood, and that's the culture you were raised in, and you want to step away from that, how do you do that? And
it's interesting. It goes back to the model that Ayse shared earlier. What do you want to keep? Right? You understand you're going through the transformation. So what do I want to keep? You don't necessarily have to keep all, everything. You decide what it is you want to keep as you go along the journey of creating this transformation, right? This cultural transformation. What do I want to keep? And then, you go to the I think the second question to that is,
what are you learning now?
What are we learning now we want to keep? And then the butterfly, the third is, what are going to be our wings for the future, right? And so you're talking about, for many, it's a total thought process shift, how you think differently, how you see differently, how you frame the world, given, those transformations. But it has to begin in the home. Because you've seen pictures of little kids out playing, different ethnicities, right? They're playing with each other and they don't have any issues with each other. It's only when they get up as adults that all of a sudden there's conflict, right? Because along the way in their environment, there was something that was learned that told them that even though we were little kids and we played together well, now we're foes, right? We're enemies, or we can't play together as we used to, right? Because we're not seeing each other as human, for one, and we've learned these egregious habits from others who were taught that, and they don't know how to break the cycle. So at some point in time, we have to be able to break the cycle, and that's why with transformation, you begin with the present and how to move forward. You don't go back to the past, because that impedes you from seeing the world anew and painting a picture that's never been painted before.
Here, here. Terry, I'm so glad that you brought us back to that, because you have like you said, that's your beginning premise, right?
Yes.
The transformation starts in the present, and you can't look back. You can only look forward.
Yes, absolutely. It's been such a pleasure, Ayse, to be here with you and with the group, and to kind of share some of my thoughts.
Thank you. And dear Terry, I knew that this was unrealistic when I said, and Terry, our guests have 15 minutes, so we have 15 minutes, because I know if I can speak for everyone, we could spend an hour and longer together with you, learning from you, but we will stop. And everyone, maybe what Terry and I will do is, when our Deconstructing Racism, Reconstructing Love project, we complete our pilot, we'll come back to you and report. How about that?
Yes.
Great. So on that note, we're 2 minutes over time, but we do have a little poll. So Meltem, what am I doing here? I just launched the poll, is that it?
Yep.
Okay, the poll is, we're offering a free online workshop to the person who brought the most friends to this tea. So now, launch poll. You can tell us how many friends you brought. And this, we're totally playing here. So, oh, nice. And we're encouraging everyone to bring their friends, younger and older friends, everyone, okay? And they can be as young as 13 and as old or young as 90 plus. So great. We have, oh my God, we have somebody who's going for 7. Woo!
Wow.
Wow. Thank you, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you to everyone for bringing their friends. Even if you brought one friend, you're helping us grow our community. We're deeply appreciative. If you brought 2, thank you. If you brought 3, thank you. But then somebody's kind of breaking a record here. Who brought 7 friends? Unmute yourself. And our winner is, oh, and Indrani says, I can bring my present and future self. I love that. Okay, is our winner a secret? So now what do we do now?
Once we end the poll, we will know who actually clicked on those answers. So we can send an email afterwards.
Shall I end the poll?
Yep, you can.
And you'll see it. This is too funny. You would think that somebody would be jumping up and down saying,
Ayse, I'm jumping up and down with embarrassment, because the way I read the poll was, how many did we invite? And we invited 7, but only a couple showed up, so we can't claim any prizes.
That's okay. Hey, I think that if you invited 7 friends, that's cool by me. Everyone, do we agree? Jack gets the prize?
No, that's not right.
No, they didn't come.
How many? It should go to the person who's
No,
had the
no,
most friends
please
come.
give it to Jack. He comes every Wednesday.
All right, and we only said Jack.
Invited.
Oh, now it's a collaboration that explains it. Then, and Jack, Stephanie gets the prize then. And we
of course.
But of course, and we set the poll as number of new friends invited. We didn't say did they show up or not. So I think we're cool here. On that note, Stephanie, you're our guest, and love having you here. Everyone, this has been such a pleasure. Terry, I adore you. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Yes,
Such
thanks,
a
Terry.
privilege to be in your company.
Great stuff.
And now you know that we have a competition going on. Now really invite your friends, okay?
No, we need to get them to come.
Exactly. I mean, what kind of friends do you have? I don't understand. You invite them and they don't show up to tea? That's...
Honestly, I think the time zone, because these are mostly in the United States, it's been a little difficult for some of them.
Yeah.
I think that they're all in the middle of transformation.
That's very cool.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That is a very good one. And then, and it might also be, Jack, because we didn't share the design the life you love is yoga of the mind tagline just yet. Once we do that, they're all going to show up. So, all right. Good night, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Thank you for coming. I'm going to go and pour myself a cocktail, which is part of the life I'm designing. So it's reward for 10 o'clock. Thank you, everyone. Megan, thank you for the heart. Everybody, see you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Enjoy your cocktail.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Bye.
Bye. Tom, thanks for coming.
Thank you.